Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the Divine lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace.
I'm singing a devotional song for Rama. The meaning of the song goes like this. O mind, pray to compassionate Ramachandra, who destroys the great fears of life, with eyes like new lotus, with face like lotus, and feet like crimson lotus, with boundless splendor like innumerable cupids. He is as beautiful as a new rain-filled cloud. I bow to the groom of Janaka's daughter, who is like a lustrous white lightning in his yellow garments. I bow to the sun-like friend of the wretched destroyer of the demons' dynasties, son of Raghu dynasty, root of joy, gladness of Kaushalya and Dasharatha, beautiful with crown on his head, earrings and mark on his forehead, and limbs generously decorated with long hands to his knees, holding a bow and arrow, winner of the battle with Khara and Dushana. Thus says Tulasidas, he who pleases the minds of Shankara and Adishesha, who has contempt for the wicked things like desire, please dwell in the lotus of my heart. Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Shri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajman Harana Bhava Bhaya Darunam. Shri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajman Harana Bhava Bhaya Darunam. Navakanjalo Jana Kanja Mukhakar Kanja Pada Kanjarunam. Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Kandar Paganita Amita Chabinav Nila Niraj Sundaram Patapitama Nahutarita Ruchi Suchi Naumi Janakatsuta Maran. Shri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajman Harana Bhava Bhaya Darunam. Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Bhajudinavan Dudinesha Danav Daitavan Shanikandanam Raghunandaya Nandakanda Kushal Chanda Dasharatha नन्दनं श्रीरामचन्द्र कृपालु भजुमन हरन भवभय दारुणं श्रीराम श्रीराम शिरे मुकुट कुण्डल तिलक भाल उदार विभूषणं आजानुभुज शर चापधर संग्रामजित करदूषणं श्रीरामचन्द्र कृपालु भजुमन हरन भवभय दारुणं श्रीराम श्रीराम इति वदति तुलसी दास शङ्कर शेष मुनिगण रञ्जनं मम हृदय कुञ्ज निवासे कुरुका मादिखलदल गञ्जनं श्रीरामचन्द्र कृपालु भजुमन हरन भवभय दारुणं नभकञ्जलोचन कञ्ज मुखकर कञ्ज पद कञ्जारुणं श्रीराम श्रीराम।
I'm reading from the book Divine Life of Sri Ramakrishna by Swami Sharadananda, later translated by Swami Chetananandaji Maharaj. The topic is Hinduism and Sri Ramakrishna. Swami Vivekananda says, "The Supreme One was born as Rama, the beloved of Sita. Ah, his stream of love flowed unobstructedly even to the pariah. Although superhuman, he never gave up doing good to people. His glory was unparalleled in the three worlds. He was the embodiment of knowledge, seated in devotion. Again, the Supreme One was born as Krishna. He subdued the terrible war cry of destruction. He destroyed Arjuna's inherent deep darkness of ignorance. He heroically proclaimed the serene and sweet message of the Gita. That celebrated Supreme One is now born as Ramakrishna." During this current spiritual renaissance, the new avatar of the age, endowed with tremendous divine power, will gather together the divided and scattered religious ideals, practices, and realize them in his own life and rediscover the knowledge that was lost. To bring this about, the all-merciful God has therefore incarnated himself as an avatar in this present age, one who is exceedingly perfect, more so than those who came before him. He is the embodiment of all religious ideals and the support of all branches of learning. So at the dawn of this momentous epoch, the message of the harmony of religions has been proclaimed. This boundless and all-embracing idea, which has been hidden in the Vedic scriptures and religion, has been rediscovered and declared to humanity with a clarion call. This new religion of the age will benefit the whole world. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, the founder of this new religion, is the reconstructed manifestation of the earlier founders of religions. O human beings, have faith in this and realize it. O human beings, the dead never return. A night past does not reappear. A passionate emotion never takes the same form again. And a jiva does not assume the same body twice. So, from the worship of the dead past, O human beings, we invite you to the worship of the living present. From the regretful brooding over bygones, we invite you to the activities of the present day. From wasted energy spent retracing lost pathways, we call you to tread the wide new highway close at hand. O wise one, try to understand what we mean. The mere opening of this divine power is echoing throughout the world. Just feel through your imagination its fully developed state. Shun the useless misgivings, weaknesses, jealousy, and malice that are characteristic of an enslaved people, and help to return the mighty wheel of the new dispensation. We are the servants of the Lord, His children, and helpers in His divine play. Have this faith firmly in your heart and plunge into the field of action. Swami Vivekananda. Yes.
Now a short period of meditation. Good morning to you all, and welcome to the Sunday service of the Vedanta Society of Toronto. As the next Sunday is Ram Navami, the birthday celebration of Sri Rama. So today we thought of discussing about Sri Ramachandra. Sometimes called Ram, Sri Ram, sometimes Rama. It's the same being, same person, same incarnation of God. whether you call RAM Sri Ram or RAMA Sri Rama. So today's topic is Maryada Purushottam Sri Ram. So Maryada Purushottam is a Sanskrit word. Purushottam, we find the word given in the Gita also. Sri Krishna says, Purushastu, I am the Purushottama. So I am among every individual soul is Purusha, rest is Prakriti, and among all this I am different from individual Purusha, I am Purushottama. I am the best, I am the supreme Purusha. There by Purusha he means the soul, and by Purushottama is the supreme soul, of which all the souls are reflection. So here, because it is more about the human, Sri Ramachandra's life was, as depicted by Valmiki, is more of an ideal human being. So Purushottama here means the best among the human beings. Ideal and the best. Uttama Purusha. Purusha means a human being, and Uttama means the best. The best human being. That's how Valmiki's Ramayana is all about, the ideal, what a human being should be, and inspire us to live the life. Like our role model, you can say Maryada is like role model. So Maryada is a Sanskrit word for propriety of conduct. Purushottam means the best or highest among men. So Sri Rama is the best example among all men, past, present and future, of a person whose propriety of conduct throughout his life, in all circumstances, never dwindled. His conduct was so strong, it never deviated from the standard, the height of the conduct. That's called Maryada. Where you live, you don't deviate, you don't cross the boundary. You are still always standing on your right feet, on your place. That's called Maryada. You never cross the Maryada. Decency, a decent, ideal human being. That's called Maryada, a person having Maryada. When Valmiki met Narada for the second time in life, and for the first time after Valmiki had become a poet, a wise person, Valmiki, asked the sage Narada. This is what I said in the Valmiki Ramayana. The very first verse says, Tapaswadhyaya niratam tapasvi vagvidam varam naradam munipapracha. Like that the verse goes. The Narada who was tapa and swadhyaya niratam, always engaged in austerity and scriptural study. Tapaswadhyaya niratam tapasvi vagvidam varam. And Tapasvi Valmiki, the sage Valmiki, Vagvidam Varam Narada, the one who is expert in Vagvid, in the knowledge of Vedas, to him he asked a question. Valmiki's question first to Narada, because he met Narada, Narada gave him the mantra, Rama, he was so sinful that Rama could not be uttered from his mouth, the word didn't come. Rama is so simple. Rama is so pure, name of God. And he had become so low in his cruelty, in his life. So he could not say Rama. Now Narada was a great teacher. He says he is not able to utter the word Rama, because it is too pure and holy for a person who has degraded so level in life as Valmiki, as Ratnakara at that time. So he said that if you can't say Rama, can you repeat Mara? Mara? And he said, yes, Mara. I can say Mara. Then repeat Mara. It becomes Rama. You see, somehow you have to repeat the name of God. But if by saying Mara, he could say Mara. Mara means like dead or something. So like that he could start saying Mara. It becomes Rama. So Narada's technique of teaching a person who couldn't utter the name of God, how to make him utter the name of God by reversing the letters of the name, and it worked. And then he was asked to do austerity, repeat the name of God. What was the austerity? Just repeat this name, Mara, always. And how much to repeat? Till you realize God. Then at that time, Valmiki became so inspired, started loving that, felt that spiritual life is the real life. All he could change and give up, he was living the life of a highway dacoit, highway robber. And he sat for meditation and started doing japam. That was Japat Siddhi. Now, how long did he do japam? He was sat down and not getting up. The story says, this Ratnakar, the dacoit, sat down there. And slowly, not moving, not eating, nothing, slowly white ant started building a mount, a hill upon that, collected soil and spread around him. So finally he was covered by the soil of the ant hill. He became inside ant hill. All one ant hill was made all around this Valmiki. Valmiki was not seen. So finally, what happened? That's why his name became Valmiki. The ant hill is called, in Sanskrit, is called Valmik. One who is with practiced austerity within the ant hill. So Valmiki. So this Valmiki, when he realized the truth, got realization. He woke up, broke the Valmik and came out. The dacoit Ratnakara had entered into that meditation and japam. Who came out from that is Valmiki. And what happened? He was going to take a bath in Ganga and someone just killed one bird. Two birds were playing. One hunter came and he killed one of the birds. Suddenly poem came out from the Valmiki's mouth without his knowing. So what have you done? What a cruel word. He himself was a dacoit. Perhaps he killed people or he robbed, we don't know. But how his life was totally changed and his life was filled with love and compassion. And he said, what have you done to this? One of the two birds were playing, having fun. You just killed them for your sake, for your selfishness. So that cruelty he felt. And that was the first verse that came. And Valmiki became a wise person, a saint, transformed, total transformation by the power of mantra. Total transformation. And of course, mantra, practice, that is one thing. You get something and you have to practice that. And then you get the fruit of that mantra. And the mantra repeating japa gives you that siddhi or perfection or God realization. And then Narada came. And Narada saw Valmiki was already wise. He wanted to write something. He had the power to write. He had become wise. And when Narada he met, I want to write about some being who is perfect. That was Valmiki's idea. And he asked Narada, can you tell me about a person who is perfect? And he put some qualities of that person should be there. 16 qualities that Valmiki put forth to Narada. I want to write a person who has all these 16 qualities. Can you find such person? And what are the questions? That is here the Maryada Purushottam. What are the questions of an ideal person? Maryada Purushottam. Is there any person in the present time? Like that he said. What is this? Charitreena chako yukta sarva bhuteshu kohita. First beginning. Konasmin sampratam loke gunavan kascha viryavan. Is there anyone in the present time who is gunavan and viryavan? Dharmagyascha kritagyascha satyavakyo dridhavrata. Charitreena chako yukta sarva bhuteshu kohita vidwan ka samarthascha kaschaika priyadarshana. Atmavan ko jita krodho bhaktiman ko nasuyaka kasya vivhyati devasya jata roshasya samyuge. He said all the 16 qualities, I will describe one by one those things and its meaning. And the Narada started saying that. Narada replied, Ikshwaku Vangsha Prabhavo. One is born in the lineage of Ikshwaku. You find the Ikshwaku word again in Gita also. There where Sri Krishna says, I told this yoga to sun god. And this sun god told to Ikshwaku. And when he said that, then Arjuna asked the question, but the sun and the Ikshvaku, they were of the olden times, you are of the present time, how could you tell them? Then Sri Krishna says there, Arjuna, I know my all past lives, but you don't know what I have done, only that is the difference. You had past, I also had past. I remember all those. That's why when I was in that stage, I have told that to sun god, and then to sun god has said to Ikshvaku. This Ikshvaku is the lineage from which the Rama's lineage comes. Rama's lineage is more famous as Raghu Vamsa, the lineage of Raghu. In the Ikshvaku Vamsa, Raghu was a very brave king, famous king. In his name it is called Raghu Vamsa. So it's a Ikshvaku Vangsha Prabhavo Ramo Nama Janeshruta. He is famous as Rama in the lineage of Ikshvaku. Niyatatma Mahaviryo Dyutiman Tritiman Vashi. He has all the qualities that you have said. He is Mahavirya, very brave. He is Niyatatma, self-control. Dyutiman, brilliant. And Vashi, who is again very Lord. So 16 attributes that he had asked, Valmiki had asked to Narada, and Narada replies one after another. What are those? Valmiki replies. So first is Gunavan. Gunavan is any person who has guna, is a highly principled, who has qualities and that they live. Principled person is called Gunavan. Guna is quality. One who has quality. What qualities? All the principal qualities that one has, the principle in life, that is called Gunavan. And Viryavan. Viryavan is courageous, who is not afraid for anything. We find all this in his life. How this Rama was asked to fight with Asuras when he was just teenager. And Vishwamitra came to Dasaratha and said, can you give your sons to me, Rama and Lakshmana? Why? All these asuras are creating problem in our spiritual practice and our rituals in the forest, where we do no harm, but somehow evils are doing all this disturbance and no way to control. And can you give your Rama and Lakshmana? Dasaratha said, they are just teenagers, and you are asking me to fight them with Khara and Dushana? All those people who are so powerful and they are like evil persons, how can they fight? Then Vasishtha was there. Vasishtha said, Dasaratha, you can let them go. Rama and Lakshmana are not ordinary mortals, though they are become human beings, but they have lot of power. Moreover, if they go with Vishwamitra, Vishwamitra will teach him all the weaponry, and they were sent. Rama and Lakshmana were never afraid of anything. That's why Viryavan in his life is Dharmagya, a knower of Dharma. That is having ethical discernment, what to do and what not to do, what are the ideas, how much I can go. That's called Dharmagya. Rama was a Dharmagya. That's when Maryada Purushottam. That's all in the Maryada it comes. Kritagya. Kritagya is one who is grateful, who doesn't forget something other does, something good to you, don't forget that. An example of that is Vibhishana helped him, he made him the king of Lanka. Sugriva helped him to find Sita, he made the king of Kiskindha. Like that thing, he never forgot anything good any person had done. This all is the quality of one who lives in Maryada, or the right conduct, or the ideal human being. Not to forget what good others have done to us. Even a small good. Even in the Ramayana, the story of squirrel is there. Squirrel was just rolling his body on the sand and coming to the bridge where it was being built to go to Sri Lanka, and just shook his body, and few grains of those sand fell. That was his might. He could not do more than that. The Hanumans and all those Vanaras and all those will bring huge boulders and putting on the water, and it was floating on the water. But this squirrel did that much. But Rama noticed this. When a squirrel is searching Sita, he put him and took him in his hand, and they say just he put his hand on his back, and there are 3 stripes there. So in the chipmunk you will find stripes here also. In India the chipmunks are a little bigger size like our squirrel, and there that they say Rama the Kritagata, or his gratitude to the squirrel, they made that more beautiful. It made the squirrel more beautiful by the gratitude of Rama. That is the story that goes. So Rama is another Maryada thing, is Satyavad, speaker of the truth. That is what is so famous about the Rama. As is forgiveness about the Jesus, we always remember who has the very highest forgiveness. We say Jesus has the highest forgiveness. And who is the most truthful person that is born? Many are truthful. Even the Gandhiji was truthful. But the most truthful person, if you come, it should be Rama. And Rama, it is when Rama was when Dasaratha had given promise to Kaikeyi that I have 2 things you ask of me, I will give you. And she asked terrible things, that Rama should go to the forest. That was terrible for Dasaratha, whose most dear son was Rama. And to send Rama, who is so dear, away, is like Putra Shoka. Putra Shoka is a person loses his young son. One son goes away, separates. It's very terrible for the king. And king couldn't say that to Rama. He was saying whether I should say that or not. And in that shock, he was just became sick, and after some few days he died. So then Rama said, Tulsidas says it very nicely, Raghukula Riti Sada Chali Ai, Prana Jai Baru Vachana Na Jai. Now there are 2 famous Ramayana, the story of Rama. One is the original, Valmiki. Another in the Hindi. Ramayana has many translations, they are not mere translations, they are the product of the saints' creation, little deviation from the original. Even great Tulsidas, Ramayana has little deviation. In Ramayana, Tulsidas, Rama is God incarnate, is divine. He grants that the beautiful bhajan, it was said, Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajavana Bhava Bhaya Harana Bhava Bhaya Darunam. This fear of this world, everything is set with fear. And what type of fear? Extreme fear, tremendous fear, Daruna fear. So Daruna fear, who will remove this fear? Daruna fear, Bhava Bhaya Hara. Rama, because Rama is God. He will remove all our fear, even the tremendous fear of this world that we find in this world, all will be removed by the grace of Rama. Just takes refuge at his feet, says Tulsidas. The beautiful song, thank you very much Chitra for singing the song and giving the translation. I was feeling so happy, and when my hairs were standing on end, it was so beautiful song and so appropriate for today's talk about Sri Rama. So that was that is Rama of Tulsidas, God incarnate, all powerful, and he can remove that. That there he says, Rama says, thought. In the Raghukula, in the lineage of Raghu and lineage of Ikshwaku is the same thing. Raghu was born later than Ikshwaku. Ikshwaku was the beginning of this Rama's lineage. Rama's lineage is said to be Surya Vamsa. Rama is Surya Vamsi. Surya comes from sun. So sun said to Ikshwaku, so that lineage it comes. So there, he says, our Raghukula Riti Sadachali, in the lineage of Raghu was one of the very famous king in that lineage. Prana Jai Varu Vachana Na Jai. There the lineage, we have to practice, we all have practice in our lineage, that we may sacrifice our life, but we will not let go our words that have to be kept. So you had promised to give 2 boons to Kaikeyi, and she asked of you to send me to forest and Bharat to be enthroned. So I am ready to go. You cannot get back on that. This has been our tradition. This is how you see tradition sometimes becomes so important. It is the lineage, it is the tradition. Similarly, in our tradition, like we are the followers of Ramakrishna mission or Vedanta. In the tradition of Vedanta, we respect all religions. We cannot do any harm to anyone following any other religions. We cannot have ill feeling towards any follower of any religion. So this type of you can say pride or you can say encouragement comes if you keep yourself to some lineage, something like that, and you say, no, I will not do that. In our lineage, the words given have to be kept. That's it, the Rama. That's why Rama goes to forest. So that was Satyavak. Always he spoke the truth. Never. He kept all his promises. So Dridhabrata is true to his promise. Like whatever he says, that is Dridhabrata. Like it is said about the Bhishma, how Dridhabrata he was. Dridhabrata Bhishma. He said he will remain unmarried for his whole life. So much pressure and so much request. He didn't change his thing. Satyavan, you can say Satya, but more of that, keeping the promise. Dridhabrata is another. Satyavak is anything you say, truth. And Dridhabrata is true to his promise, always keeping the promise. So that was Rama. Charitravan, of impeccable conduct. Rama's conduct, nowhere you can say it was not right. Everywhere. Some have little doubt about Rama. Why did he do that? Like, why did he, one criticism against Rama is, why did he send his pregnant wife to forest? So that is often people say. And I asked some person, there was Ramnam that day, our devotee here in Toronto. And she is very devoted to Sri Ramakrishna. One of the very good volunteer, very devoted, senior devotee. I asked her, today's Ramnam, will you stay for Ramnam? I thought anybody will stay. We have Ramnam in all centers. And Swami Brahmananji started Ramnam. She said, Swamiji, I don't stay for Ramnam. I said, why? She said, oh, I don't like Rama. What do you say? Rama is the, Sri Ramakrishna says, who is Rama? Who is Krishna? Is Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Rama is the incarnation of God. Oh, I cannot stand his sending his wife Sita to forest when she was pregnant. How a king, how a person can do like that? So like that is many other. I have met some other persons also here like that asking that same question. Whatever you say, Swami, I cannot stand Rama. That person says. Whatever you explain, but Rama, that act, I cannot forgive Rama for that. But Rama is this Charitravan of impeccable conduct. He was not performing the role of a husband there. He was a king which was overpowering than role of a husband. So he had to perform the role of a king much more by sacrificing the company of his own wife, whom he loved most dearly like himself. The love for Sita of Rama, one has to imagine. Why he had to say, just see the incident and you start having your judgment without going deeper into this. This we often do mistake like the devotee, without having the real thing inside. Just see outside and take the judgment. And it becomes wrong judgment. You start not loving Rama of such a great conduct, Maryada Purushottam, the deliverer, and of which incarnation is Sri Ramakrishna. So like that mistake can happen. You are supposed to respect every religion, every follower of every religion, every incarnation of God and every prophet. And you don't love your own prophet Rama, who is worshipped by millions of people, and you find defect in that. Once I asked Swami Tathagatakandaji, very senior Swami, he was head of our New York Center, where Swami Kripamayananda is now. So I asked him, Maharaj, people, so he had written a book on the notes on Ramayana, another book on notes on Mahabharata. And he had described the characters there very nicely. I asked, Maharaj, people say that they say Rama didn't do this right. How will you justify that? So he didn't say anything. He said, what? People criticizing the act of Rama and incarnation of God? What they know about Rama? They don't know anything. They think about themselves. and he banged on the table, and no answer was given, no explanation was given. But incarnation of God doing something can never be wrong. That thing we have to have that faith. But some person don't want to listen to anything. They go on their own judgment. They don't want to even listen to this, like these Swamis say, but they have something coming. But I believe that they will have, by Rama's grace, they will love Rama. That is my prayer. So Rama is another quality. It says Sarva Bhuteshu Hitaha. Valmiki said to Narada, can you tell someone, this person who will be not only having all these qualities, but he should be doing good to all. Sarva Bhuteshu Hitaha. In the Gita also it comes like that word. Samahatma Sudurlava is the word. Who does good to all. That Samahat, Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sama. One who does good to all is such type of person is very difficult to find. And that was Rama's thing. He did good to everyone. Even if you say, why did he kill Bali? Another criticism against Rama was, why did he kill Bali hiding behind? And without understanding what was the problem with Bali and killing, being killed by God is not being killed at all. Being killed by God, they say, is getting moksha. It is emancipation, it is salvation. It comes through a great merit of us. So the person goes directly to heaven if it is killed by God. Even in a righteous war, if you die, you go to heaven, says Krishna in the Gita. So there are so many things why he killed Bali. That is so many instructions. So Rama always did Sarva Bhuteshu Hita. Vidwan, Rama was learned. That is the problem with our incarnation of God, whom we love. We don't want to say that he had to learn from the scriptures, from the teachers, from the family, from his parents. It is not shown at all, as it is shown in the case of Sri Ramakrishna, how he had so many gurus, and every guru came and taught him something. The student life, the learning time in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. But in Rama and Sri Krishna's case, this learning time is not much explained. In Rama only Vishwamitra took and taught him the Shastra, and the Shastra Vidya, Astra Shastra. But what about Shastra Vidya? He learned that from Vashishta. What about Shastra with Adhyana, the learning of scriptures by Sri Krishna? He did that from Sandipani. So they went through all the learning of scriptures. Only in Sri Ramakrishna's case, we don't see formal teacher teaching him Shastra. What he learned, people said, whatever you speak is tallied with the scriptures. But you never read Bhagavad, you never learned to read letters even properly, just he could sign and he could copy the thing. He never read any Shastra, neither the Gita nor the Bhagavata. But all Gita, Bhagavata, Upanishad, all were in him. People asked, how do you know so much about this? Whatever you say, tallied with the scriptures. He said, I have not read, but I have heard so many. Whatever he used to listen, Sri Ramakrishna used to listen, that he used to remember. And that was Sri Ramakrishna. So he also learned from many teachers, many monks. So, and Valmiki says, he should be samartha, skillful in action. And Rama's example comes. Not only that, Valmiki's one condition was, he should be priya darshana, pleasant to look. In the song today, in the last lines it came, how Rama is so beautiful, like his eyes are so beautiful, and his hands are go below the knees, he's so long, high, Ajanubahu it's called. So Rama's description, the Tulsidas gives, that's why it says, pleasant to look at. Atmavan, he should be self-confident and self-reliant. Who can be more self-reliant than Rama? Jita Krodha, one who has controlled anger, another quality of human being, another conduct. One has to control anger. If we give to anger, we have not fully developed as a human being. And if we have not been developed as a human being, how can we be a spiritual person? Control of anger. Did Rama never become angry? He did not become angry as such, but he showed anger. Showing anger and becoming angry are two things. When he was not able to build this bridge on the ocean sea while crossing the river, then he showed anger to ocean god of ocean. He said, if you do not do, I can absorb all your waters. And the sun came in front and bowed down. That is the story goes. So, but he had controlled anger. He didn't become angry. Sometimes he might have shown anger. Only one that incident is seen, otherwise you don't see. He never became angry when Lakshmana was angry. When Bharata came to meet him, when Rama was going to forest, Lakshmana thought Bharata has come with all military and all that, perhaps to kill us. You see, seeing the thing and not going into deeper into it. Lakshmana forgot what conduct and quality Bharata has. You often don't know about the person and start thinking wrong about the person just by seeing the appearance. We often do that. We don't go deeper into the quality and conduct of the person. Rama knows what Bharata is. And he said, Lakshmana, don't be angry like that. Rama was never angry, never had any aspersion on his dearest friend. He loved Bharata so much, he loved Bharata most among all his brothers. And to Hanuman, when he was very pleased that Hanuman found Sita, came back pleased, and he said, Tuma mama priya Bharata hi samabhai. Oh Hanuman, you are so dear to me, you have done so wonderful work. You are dear to me like my brother Bharata. Lakshmana was always with him for 14 years in forest, so much sacrifice. But Bharata was something great. Rama knew the heart of Bharata. For Bharata also, there was nothing other than Rama. Then, Matiman, bright, clarity of thinking here. Anasuyaka, free from jealousy. Anasuyaka, there is another person in the history, in our recent history, who said, I may have any defect, but jealousy I have none. Who said that? Swami Vivekananda. He said that to that Nivedita. Once he said, Swamiji, are you jealous of those people? He said, I may have any other defect, but I have no jealousy. Conquering jealousy, anasuyaka, no jealousy towards anyone. So that is what Rama was. Vibhyati devaha. Character is so great, so profound, so ideal. Even the gods are afraid. Gods means, some of the god of sea was the example that has happened. I want to know about that person and then write the life of that person, and that's how actually the story of Rama was told to Valmiki by Narada. It came as Mula Ramayana. Narada tells the story of Rama to Valmiki, Mula Ramayana. After that, Valmiki wrote the story of Rama, and that is called Ramayana. All what he heard from Valmiki, that he wrote. It is said that the story of Rama was said even before Rama was really born. It is said that. Just he wrote a story, and Rama had to incarnate according to play the role that has already been chalked out by his devotee Valmiki. So strange is the things. So, what about Sri Ramakrishna said? So Rama was an ideal son. We all know how he loved his father. He was an ideal brother. He always kept together and took care. He was an ideal friend. I told the story of Sugriva and Vibhishana. He was an ideal husband. His love for Sita is more than any. It is more than any other husband can love his wife. That was his love for his wife, so ideal husband. Ideal adversary. So this is one thing. Ideal ruler, we all know how he gave importance to every subject in his kingdom. He didn't care if he was rich or high status in the society. Everyone had to say something. That Rama took notice and acted upon that. Great ideal ruler. So about ideal adversary. He was adversary to some Ravana. But what is ideal adversary? That's what it is said. Ideal adversary is to respect the bravery and wisdom even of the adversary. His good qualities are appreciated. That is ideal adversary. How is that? When Ravana was shot by Rama, he asked Lakshmana to go and learn from Ravana. Go and learn from him. He is a great learned person. He is a wise person. By some of his ego and all his qualities, he has become like Rakshasa. But in fact, he is a very learned person. Go and learn from him. That's what is ideal adversary. As adversary also he respected his own adversary. So Rama and Sri Ramakrishna, Ramachandra and Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna said, he who was Rama, he who was Krishna is now in this body Ramakrishna. That he said. So that he said to Swami Vivekananda. Do you have still doubt about me? That's what he said. And in the reading today was so beautifully done reading. Wonderful passage of the greatness of Sri Ramakrishna and how he is connected with Rama and Krishna. So how Sri Ramakrishna is connected with Rama, there are some incidents. Khudiram, Sri Ramakrishna's father Khudiram was the worshipper of Rama. His tutelary deity was Rama. And when he was one day worshipping Raghuvir, Rama was called Raghuvir, the stone of Raghuvir, symbol of Rama. And one day he had made the garland and the sandal paste and was going to worship the Raghuvir in his shrine in Kamarpukur. Then had closed the eyes and was meditating. The baby, that boy, Ramakrishna, the Gadadhar comes and wears that garland and uses that sandal paste on his forehead and sits there. Raghubir, this Khudiram opens the eyes and sits there in front of his own son, has taken the garland. How he did that? Because he was that, just to give a link to his father. Father knew, the Vishnu had said, don't worry, I'll be born in a house as your son. Another incident is there. Bhairavi Brahmani was a Tantrika worshipper, but he was a Vaishnavite, and she taught Sri Ramakrishna 64 Vaishnava Tantras, and Sri Ramakrishna mastered got perfection in all those 64 Tantras. But Bhairavi Brahmani always has to have one Raghuvir Shila, the emblem of Rama. One day she made food for Rama, had made arrangements for those food and was meditating on Rama just before offering. And and it was in Panchavati in Dakshineswar. Sri Ramakrishna was in his room. And suddenly Sri Ramakrishna felt an urge to go there. He went there and what had been offered, he all ate. And after he came to ecstasy, and after he came to normal mood, he said, Mother, what I did do it? Why I did do this? I was unaware. So Bhairavi says, it is the right thing. I know who is in you. It is Sri Ramachandra in you has eaten the bhoga, and now my worship has been culminated, and she took the prasada of Sri Ramakrishna, who was disciple, student of Bhairavi Brahmani. But Bhairavi Brahmani was wise enough to understand who was her disciple. It was not ordinary human being, it was God incarnate. Nistarini Devi, the wife of Navagopal Ghosh, once there were some cats that were being beaten in the Dakshineswar. And cats were not liked by the temple people, and they started beating that. And that cat took shelter in Sri Ramakrishna's room. Now cat and its kitten, it was difficult for Sri Ramakrishna. So one day Nistarini Ghosh had come and he said, can you take care of cats? So, because he didn't want to throw it out. And Nistarini Devi said, yes, I'll definitely take it. She took that cat with her, maybe with kittens. And Sri Ramakrishna was so pleased, he said, you have taken my request, and by God's grace, you will have the vision of your Ishta. And Nistarini Devi's Ishta was Sri Ramachandra, and she had the vision of Ramachandra. That was his connection with Sri Rama. And when Swami Vivekananda in Kashipur, once Sri Ramakrishna initiated Swami Vivekananda. And what was the mantra? It was Sri Rama mantra. And Swami Vivekananda was so excited, the whole day he moved around the house that in Kashipur and was repeating the mantra continuously, so excited. But the mantra given to Swami Vivekananda by Sri Ramakrishna was the Rama mantra. So that's how Rama's connection with Rama. One more incident and then I will close today's talk. One Ramayat monk, one who lived in Ayodhya and worshipped Rama, suddenly had the vision. Rama said to him that I have taken and reincarnated myself in the east. So where in the east? Where? That he didn't know. He started walking. From Ayodhya, he started walking towards east, and finally when he came near Kolkata, he heard about Sri Ramakrishna. Great saint had come. Sri Ramakrishna had gone to Mahasamadhi, had passed away. And at that time, he came to Dakshineswar, and there people said, oh, he just passed away recently, Sri Ramakrishna is not there now. Then that Ramayat monk said, but Ramachandra showed me that I am reincarnated and go to the east and meet me. How can that be? I have walked 1,000 miles away to meet my Ishta in new form. Then the temple people, that manager gave him some food, eat some food, he was tired. He said, no, until I meet Sri Ramakrishna, I will not eat anything. He just stayed in Panchavati under the tree. And days passed. First day he ate nothing, second day nothing. Third day morning, when Ramlal, this story, Ramlal, Sri Ramakrishna's nephew, he has seen this story. He says, third day, I saw that sadhu is in elation, joy. I said, how you are so joyful today? You were so pensive the 2 days because you couldn't see Ramachandra in the form of Sri Ramakrishna. He said, you know, yesterday Sri Ramakrishna came, last night, and he asked me, he said, you are not eating for 2 nights and 2 days, you are hungry, please eat this payasam, this rice pudding. And he gave me and I ate. And he showed that there is an earthen bowl was there. He said, in that bowl, Sri Ramakrishna gave me the payasam, I had the vision. So like that thing happened, Sri Ramakrishna's connection with Sri Ramachandra, who was Rama, who was Krishna, is in present time in this body, Ramakrishna. So there is a beautiful, that's why Sri Ramakrishna used to say, after Jatadhari thing, I think it's the Jatadhari house, Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Ramachandra, Ramlala, stayed with Sri Ramakrishna and played with him, bathed with him, ate with him, slept with him. Small idol of Rama, Ramlala, the baby Rama. And that idol was worshipped by one Rama Sadhu Jatadhari. Earlier, in 1864, he came to Dakshineswar, and he found that he also had the vision of Ramlala through that image. And he said, Ramlala is very happy here with you and he wants to live here. So I give this image to you, image of Ramlala to you. And Ramlala started living with Sri Ramakrishna. It was not just the image, it was living Sri Rama, baby Sri Ramakrishna, living with Sri Ramakrishna. And he used to go and splash water in Ganga, and Sri Ramakrishna used to rebuke him. What are you doing? You are spreading water all around. And then he would be sorry, oh, I just told you harsh words. Mother Kaushalya used to love you so much. I was so unfortunate that I said you so many difficult things like that. That relation he had. And from Ramayat Sadhu, he knew that who was Rama. And he knew, and he used to tell to the devotees this Hindi sloka. Jo Rama Dasarath ka beta, wahi Rama ghat ghat mein leta. Wahi Rama Jagat Pasera, Wahi Rama Sabse Nyara. Who is Rama? Rama, who is born as son of Dasaratha, pervades the whole universe as spirit and consciousness. He is the creator of this world, and also he is transcendental Brahman. This thing Sri Ramakrishna used to say to the devotees about who Rama is. Rama, as described as Sri Ramakrishna, is the Rama of Tulsidas, the divine incarnation. With a verse, I'll close this today's talk. Mata Ramo Mat Pita Ramachandro Swami Ramo Mat Sakha Ramachandra Sarvaswam Me Ramachandro Dayalu Nanyam Jane Naiva Jane Na Jane. Rama is my mother. Rama is my father. Rama is my Lord. Rama is my friend. Rama is my everything. The compassionate Rama, the kind-hearted Rama, Dayalu Rama. I know nothing other than Rama. I know not at all anything than Rama. That's why 3 times, I know nothing, I know nothing, I know nothing other than Rama. He is my ideal, he is my Lord, he is my everything in life, he is my father. Like we have Tomeva Mata Chapita Tomeva, like that is the verse written that Mata Ramo Mat Pita Ramachandro Swami Ramo Mat Sakha Ramachandro Sarvaswami Ramachandro Dayalu. That word was sung by Chitra also. Dayalu, he is very kind-hearted, he is very compassionate. If we pray to him, he will grant our prayers, he will redeem us from this samsara, he will give us mukti or bhakti, whatever we want. That much of compassion Rama has. That all saying that the verse says Dayalu, that word, God is always compassionate. Sri Ramakrishna says, if we go one step towards God, he is just jumping to have you. He wants to have you more. We are eager to go to God. God is more eager to have us to him. That's why he comes 10 steps towards us. So that is the Dayalu, Kripalu, Kripamaya is the God. Nanyam jane, naiva jane, Nanyam na jane. I don't know anyone. I don't want anyone. And I don't want anyone at all, says this verse. So for this Ramanavami Puja next Sunday, we'll have worship, songs, reading, meditation. Please attend here in person or join online on YouTube next Sunday at 11 o'clock. That is the real Ramanavami day. Now it falls on Sunday, it will be easy. Thank you very much for your patient hearing, and wonderful to see few of you and those who are watching online. Happy Ramanavami to you. May the blessing of Rama and Sri Ramakrishna be upon us all. Om. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Jai Mahamai Ki Jai. Jai Swami Ji Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Buddha Ki Jai. Jai Isha Musha Ki Jai. Sarvastaratu Durgani Sarvo Bhadrani Pashyatu Sarvasad Buddhimapnotu Sarvatra Nandatu. Hari Om Tat Sat. May all be freed from dangers. May all realize what is good. May all be actuated by noble thoughts. May all rejoice everywhere. Om